Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Gio. I like writing stories about men falling in love. And that's what my channel is all about. Sit back, get something to drink, and enjoy. I stood at the bus stop, a little nervous, and watched the bus approach. First day of the semester, first day at this college, and its first day on the bus. I left my car back at my apartment because I didn't want to fight traffic and wrestle for a non-existent parking space in a city I didn't know. Welcome to Vegas, my new home. Somebody once said you have to be crazy to survive Vegas. Crazy people living crazy lives in crazy traffic, losing money in crazy ways. The never-sleeping city of the crazy, and one-hour weddings. It's also called the city of second chances, and that sounded good right now. I'm Foster Path, turned 21 6 months ago, and I have brown hair and blue eyes and skin that sunburns very fast. I'm 5'11", and Dad always said that I never measured up, supposedly meaning he was 2 inches taller than me, but I suspect he really meant that I didn't live up to him, to his accomplishments. I'd fled to Vegas to get away from my dad. Give me a drum roll. May I present the world-renowned, award-winning psychologist and motivational speaker, the best-selling author of multiple books, specifically my I Know More Than You Do, Dad, Dr. Leroy Path. Dad was so busy being famous he forgot little things like my baseball games and birthday parties, my high school graduation. How many anniversaries or Valentine's Days did he leave Mom sitting alone? At least Mom came to my graduation. Her gift, the nicest watch I've ever seen, and she told me how proud she was. 1 month ago, Mom helped me find a small one-bedroom apartment 400 miles away in Vegas and a job, because I think she's about to divorce my dad and needed me independent. Dad was on a promotional tour for his latest book, so he'd never notice me gone. The only time Dad even noticed me was when he needed a family portrait for his book jacket so he could look like a family man. That was the book where Dad told all about me coming out to him and how it became a bonding moment between us. Dad made it up. I was gay. Everybody already knew that. There was no magical bonding coming out moment with Dad. Life at home always came with headaches and sour stomachs. I needed a fresh start, away from my dad. I studied business, at least for now. I applied too late to get an opening at Culinary Chic, the premier culinary school in Vegas. My goal? I want to be a chef with my own restaurant someday. You probably expect me to give you the money so you can get started, Dad had sneered when I told him my dreams. The bus stopped with a squeal of brakes and a whiff of diesel exhaust. I climbed on the bus, my head buzzing with too much stress and too much thinking, and just a little bit of excitement. As the bus took off, I walked down the center aisle and found one vacancy, an aisle seat. That's when I saw him. A cute guy wearing purple earbuds and drawing in a sketchbook. He hadn't shaved, but with cheekbones like that, and a strong jawline, the stubble looked good. He had long, sensitive fingers that made the slightest nuances, even though he drew with marker on the bumpy ride of the bus, and he used every color in his pack of 24 markers. He focused on his art. I couldn't tell what he was creating, because I wanted to ask him if he was single, and open to dating guys. His earbuds played a loud, violent techno beat, and his head nodded with each loud thump. I'd guess he was my age, maybe a year older. His pink hair was trimmed an inch short on all sides, except for his bangs, which he wore down to his nose. He wore a vintage black t-shirt with some demon sporting a really long tongue. At the bottom it said, "Scream all you want. TerrorCon 4. Covered in every science fiction movie patch or pin known to man, his huge backpack had commandeered the empty seat and was half open. He had overstuffed it with more markers, colored pencils, various kinds of drawing pencils, a couple of sketchbooks, rulers, a slide ruler, erasers, a set of watercolor paints, various paint tubes, some kind of rolled-up kit with paintbrushes, and some things I didn't know what they were. This was a serious art major. Though it was only 8 in the morning, he pulled out a squished hoagie, took a bite, and looked at me. He had a strong chin, lips that I wanted to kiss, and would it be wrong to run my fingers through his hair? His eyes were dark and intense and brooding, and they glanced at me. Did they like what they saw? I was pretty plain compared to him in my white t-shirt and gray shorts. "I hate tomatoes," he said. "Excuse me? Are you talking to me or the sandwich? Do you mind if I sit here?" I asked. "What makes you more important than my backpack?" he said, frowning and taking another bite. He pulled a sliced tomato out of the sandwich, and, not finding a place to put it, he stuffed it in his pocket. He folded his arms, ignored me, and took another bite of the sandwich. The backpack did not move. I think I struck out without even stepping onto the field. I resisted the urge to flip him off and said, "You don't have to be rude. A simple, 'I need it for my backpack' was all you had to say." I walked to the rear of the bus, found a handhold, and put my own earbuds in. People are rude and weird. Some of us are tired because we walked to the wrong road for the bus stop and had to hike an extra 4 blocks to find it. This guy was cute. Too bad he had an attitude. Day 1 of my new life, and it's Vegas up by 2, Foster still at 0. I slowly exhaled and glanced at the cute, rude guy. He pulled out something from his backpack, a fortune cookie. After cracking it open, he munched on it, then read the little piece of paper. His eyebrows shot up, and he stared at that tiny paper as if some teacher had just given it an F. What surprised me, the pink-haired jerk turned around and stared at me a moment before returning to his drawing. It took about 20 to 25 minutes until we were at campus. Every time we stopped, somebody got on board, went up to the guy, and asked to take the seat. They never got the seat. Every few minutes he glanced at me, then returned to his drawing. Why was he looking at me? I checked my shirt to make sure I didn't have something on it, made sure my zipper was up, used my phone to make sure my face was all right, and finally turned my back to him. We both climbed off at the stop at the bottom of campus, and I rapidly walked to the student center to get a cup of coffee and get away from him. The pink-haired creep ran up to me and said, You forgot your bus pass. See you tomorrow." He handed me the picture he was working on and walked off. It was a picture of me as a cartoon in vibrant marker Technicolor, holding a chainsaw dripping pink blood above my head, and I was standing on a floating face. His face was yelling, "Blame the backpack. It made me do it." It was signed by Techno Rave King Bobby the First, and followed by 10 numbers crammed together. Why not Techno Rave King Bobby the Jerk? What is this, an apology? Was everybody in Vegas this weird? Somebody must be insane, and it was probably me, because I wondered what it would be like dancing with him. Welcome to Vegas, crazy capital of the world. I think I fit right in. The next day, I could have driven, but I took the same bus, mostly because I liked avoiding the traffic, and I didn't know the roads. I also wanted to talk to Bobby the First. Maybe he was having a bad day yesterday? I walked on the bus, a little excited. Like yesterday, it promised to be a weird one. Techno Rave King Bobby the First sat a row back from where he had sat yesterday. Today he wore a vintage sci-fi t-shirt about some movie. Zombies stole our women, but the WO was covered with a rainbow pin, so it looked like it said, "Zombies stole our men." A rainbow pin? Front and center? Maybe he was open to a man asking him out. I walked up to him. Some strange industrial music threatened to explode his earbuds. His head nodded and shook, mostly to the beat. His monstrous backpack took up the entire seat. Had it grown since yesterday? The pink hair seemed a little more styled, and Bobby glanced up. His lips hinted of a slight smile. A nice, slightly spicy fragrance was around him. Was he wearing cologne? Time to give him a second chance. As I stopped at his seat, he pulled his earbuds out. It was the same ear-splitting industrial screamo band as yesterday. "Thanks for the picture," I said, and flashed a casual smile. He pulled a bag of celery and carrots out of his backpack and pulled out a celery and held the bag out to me. He had nice, muscular arms, not like a weightlifter, more like a swimmer. "I don't like carrots," he said, and took a bite of the celery. Did his eyes smile? I guess he was offering me what he didn't want. Was this a peace offering? I grabbed a carrot and asked, "Can I sit here?" "Depends. You got a bus pass?" he asked, his tone casual, almost flirting. The excitement I felt at seeing him again vanished. I didn't know what to say to that, so I shrugged, found a handhold a few feet away, and rode standing up. Bobby the First cracked open another fortune cookie, read the message, then checked something on his phone. He looked at me, and it looked like he swore under his breath. Then he dove into his oversized backpack, found his markers and his sketch pad, and lost himself in his art. Another weird day in Vegas. I've learned my lesson. I wouldn't talk to Bobby again. I got off the bus and headed to the student center for a cup of coffee. Vegas wasn't home. Thank goodness. Its weirdness seemed refreshing after the stress of living at home or dealing with my dad. "Hey, bus guy," the pink-haired guy yelled and ran up to me. He pushed his pink hair out of his face. "You forgot your ticket to paradise." He handed me another picture. This one a cartoon of a guy with pink hair lying on the ground, with a cartoon me kneeling over him about to give mouth to mouth. The cartoon guy with the pink hair said, "Sorry." It was signed just like the other one by Techno Rave King Bobby the First, with 10 numbers crammed together. "You're holding it sideways," Techno Rave King Bobby the First said. I tilted it, and suddenly the cartoon me was leaning in to kiss the cartoon guy with pink hair. "I don't understand you," I said. "I get that a lot. See you tomorrow on the bus," he said, and walked away with that huge backpack with all the buttons and pins on it clattering. I tucked the picture with the other one. Vegas might be filled with crazies. At least this one was a cute crazy. I got on the bus the next day. Techno Rave King Bobby the First sat 2 rows back, his backpack again taking the seat next to him. I guess if I had a backpack that big and that full, I'd want a seat for it too. He had his earbuds in and was drawing with his markers. As I walked up, he held out a bag of Oreos and chocolate chip cookies. When he took his earbuds off, he said, "I like chocolate chips." I definitely did not understand him. Once again, was this some kind of peace offering? I reached for an Oreo. "I like chocolate chips," he said, again, with a chin lift and a nervous smile. He made no move to take the backpack off the seat. I shrugged and took a chocolate chip cookie. "So do I. See you when we get off the bus." The strangest look came across his face. Eyes widened, he inhaled, his mouth opened slightly, and seemed about to smile. He nodded. I took a bite of the cookie and walked back to find a handhold and resisted the urge to smile. Maybe there was hope for Bobby yet. Bobby looked at something on his phone, then cracked open another fortune cookie. He read it and glanced at me. A small smile snuck out. Bobby returned to his drawing, but a moment later, a woman about 85 said, "Do you mind if I take this seat?" Bobby quickly stuffed his markers and drawing pad into his backpack, then rose, hesitated a moment as he looked at me, and stood next to me. The woman took his seat and said a soft, "Thank you." "Why did you get up?" I asked. "She wasn't a zombie," Bobby said. And I am? I said. You're hard to understand. Understanding is overrated, he said, and gave me the nervous smile again, and looked away. Do you have a minute for coffee time? Get coffee with me? Then he glanced at his feet. If you don't have time, I understand. More students crowded on the bus, making it hard to talk. We both plugged in our earbuds and stood together until we got to the campus. I'm serious about the coffee. I'll buy, he said, staring at his shoes a moment before looking at me. Robert King. My friends call me Bobby. I'm serious about accepting then, I said. Really? Bobby said. His smile emerged for a second. Foster Path, but my friends simply call me Foster, I said. I know, he said. How? He set the giant backpack down, rummaged inside it, and pulled out Dad's third book. The universe wants you to succeed. The book jacket had the picture of my family from 5 years ago. Dr. Elroy Path stood behind us in the perfect living room. Mom sat in the chair with Dad's hands on her shoulders, while I knelt on the floor. It had our names and the captions underneath. Dr. Path with his devoted wife, Maureen, and his loving son, Foster. You look the same, Bobby said. Mostly the same. A little older. You want to have coffee with me because of my dad, I said, and I got a bitter taste in my mouth. We walked up to the student center and into the cafeteria. I got a simple coffee with hazelnut creamer. Bobby got a cappuccino and threw in some strawberries from the oatmeal bar. He must have been an incredible father. You are so lucky, he said. I've read all his books, and it helped me get through high school because I have trouble fitting in. Do you think I could meet him sometime? This is not what I needed. If I told him the truth, it might ruin Dad's reputation, and whatever Bobby's fantasies were. I wasn't going to lie either. The other option would be just to leave. He'd see me as a jerk, but I came to Vegas to get away from my dad and discover who I was. I would not live in my dad's shadow. I stood up from my barely touched coffee to leave and said, For a second, I thought somebody wanted to get to know me. Thanks for the coffee. Why can't I ever say the right thing? Bobby muttered and rapidly reached into his pack and pulled out the bag of cookies. Foster, let's start over. I like chocolate chips, he said, and held the bag out. He took one and offered me one. His eyes pleaded for me to stay. I like chocolate chip too, I said, and sat back down. I took a cookie and dipped it into my coffee. Sorry, I'm no good at meeting people, Bobby said. The silence was awkward and weird and lasted a few seconds. Bobby swirled his cappuccino with his spoon and stared at the way it spiraled. What were in the fortune cookies? I finally asked. You'll think it's weird. Bobby blushed a little and then reached into his backpack. He pulled out an old purple notebook with rainbow stickers plastered all over and opened it. Hundreds of fortune cookie messages were taped to the pages, along with dates and a few scribbled notes. Last weekend, I went home for a couple of days. Bad mistake. Dad and I don't get along and we fought. Monday, I guess I was still feeling the effects and I just wanted to be left alone. Then you came up and I wasn't in the mood to be social or nice. After you walked away, I pulled out a fortune cookie and read the message. That's how I make all life decisions these days. He pointed at a small sliver of paper. The cookie told me I had made a mistake. Monday's fortune. Someone special will talk to you today. The note underneath it said, The guy on the bus looks like Foster Path. Good aura, nice voice, pretty eyes. He was the only one who talked to me. My someone special? Monday's horoscope. Capricorn. Be careful how you talk to people today, because it might scare away that someone special. Underneath it was a second sliver. Tuesday's fortune. Apologies keep loved ones coming back. Underneath that it said, Bobby, ultimate king of screw-ups. Tuesday horoscope. Capricorn. Sometimes love knocks twice. Don't waste a second chance. You live your life by horoscopes and fortune cookies? I said. Bobby went very red. I know you think it's stupid. Today's fortune cookie message. Sometimes small things mean the most. A note said, Does Foster like coffee? Today's horoscope. Capricorn. Look out, or love will walk away. You asked me out because of random fortune cookies and horoscopes, I said. Bobby pulled something from his bag and said, I stayed up late planning how I would talk to you. I thought that mentioning how much I liked your dad's books would be a good icebreaker, but I guess you feel about your dad like I feel about mine. I'm sorry I was rude. It's been a bad couple of days. Bobby stared at his coffee and didn't look up. Time to change the subject. What are you holding? I asked. Bobby placed a fortune cookie on the table between us. Open it and let's see what it says. You are serious about this, I said, and broke the cookie in half. The little slip of paper said, Only those who start will finish. Sometimes it takes a second opinion to understand the first, Bobby said, and pulled some clear tape out of his bag, and he taped a little piece of paper in his notebook. Or a horoscope, I said. What's yours say today? Bobby pulled out his phone, pulled up a screen, and typed something in. He read, slowly grinned, then read again, and he brought his smile under control, his face still red. What does it say? I asked. Nothing. It doesn't mean anything, he mumbled. I grabbed the phone from his hand and read. Wednesday horoscope, Capricorn. Sometimes a Capricorn is so busy they never notice the person sitting next to them. Maybe it's time to tell them you like them and hold their hand. I chuckled and laid my hand on the table. Could Bobby blush even redder? Somehow he did. He quickly wrote something in his book. Do you want to table the discussion until tomorrow? I asked. Bobby flashed a shy smile and lowered his head a second. Only those who start will finish. He placed his hand on mine and gave an embarrassed chuckle. Another week of flirting strangeness on the bus and getting coffee every morning before I had the courage to ask, Saturday night, you want to make an evening of it? What do the cookies say we should do? Bobby pulled another cookie from his pack and laid it on the table. I split it open and read it. If you want to stand tall, use both feet, but a wise man knows when to let others stand taller. 6 o'clock sound good? What do you think it means? Bobby said. I have an idea. Wear something nice, and I need your phone number, I said. You already have it, Bobby said, winking at me as he packed up his huge pack. As he left, I looked at the drawings he gave me. The 10-digit number was his phone number. That night, Mom called. I just wanted to let you know. I've priority sent divorce papers to your dad, and I've moved out as well, she said. I thought you might. Where to? I asked. I'm still in Reno, but I've always wanted to live on the coast. When the divorce is finalized, maybe I'll find some place in Northern California, she said. Listen, if you try and call me, it'll go to voicemail, and I'll get back to you. I'm screening my calls. If your dad calls you to find me, give him this number. It's my lawyer. Got it, I said. How about you? How's Vegas? How's school? Mom asked. I like it here in Vegas. I've met a guy, I said. I thought you might, she said. Send me a selfie of the two of you, and let's get together for Thanksgiving. Sure, I said. Thursday and Friday, Bobby and I sat next to each other on the bus, his giant backpack in his lap, and we talked about our classes, about fortune cookies, about our problems with our dads. I walked over and met Bobby Saturday at his apartment a little before 6. He only lived 2 blocks from me in a 3-bedroom he shared with 2 roommates. Bobby wore a navy long-sleeve button-down shirt and skin-tight black jeans. He wore a rainbow mala bracelet around his wrist and had redyed his hair, something dark gold with light blonde highlights. When he smiled at me, I knew I was way out of my league. But being with him filled me with a lightness, a joy, that made me look down to make sure my feet were still touching the ground. I wore a pale linen shirt and beige slacks, and felt like I was wearing last decade's clothes compared to him. I can't believe how good he looked. Standing shoulder to shoulder and both of us grinning, I took the selfie and sent it to Mom. "Guess who found love on the bus?" She replied instantly, "Somebody's grown up. Have fun tonight." As Bobby took my hand, a small thrill shot up my spine, and he slid an identical mala bracelet on my wrist. Vegas didn't seem so crazy anymore. The city seemed beautiful and wonderful and fun. A short walk from our apartments was a new nightclub that catered to college kids, the Sunburst, and we heard the music a block away. Bobby cautiously held my hand, and we walked with our shoulders almost touching. I paid the cover charge and we went inside. It smelled like new paint and body spray and something alcoholic. Everything was painted either black or neon blue. Multiple tube lights made a multicolored flashing sunburst pattern on the ceiling, centered above the dance floor, and the design flickered in patterns and random colors depending on the music. Random spotlights highlighted dancers, and giant wall monitors flickered through faces among the dancers, often pausing on some sexy couple. Somebody known as DJ Luna Rex controlled the music tonight, and she kept the beat moving. It wasn't long before we left the table and joined the shoulder-to-shoulder dance crowd. We danced close to each other, the music loud, impossible to talk through, but not impossible to lift our hands and dance with everybody else. We found the bar and found drinks and rested a few minutes before we returned to the dance floor. The music was wild, electronic, and demanded we move. The crowd bounced to the rhythm, and we held hands to keep from getting separated. We found ourselves alone for a moment, and Bobby swayed, hands above his head, and danced to me. We danced, holding each other, our bodies moving as one. One of the monitors showed us for a second. The magic happened. Bobby leaned in and kissed me. While the music surged, wild and restless, we had a moment's calm in the chaos as everybody danced around us. But we stood still and kissed, our own private oasis. The starburst flashed white and gold, then green and yellow, and his eyes reflected the colors. I brushed his hair from his face and kissed his nose. Bobby gave me a timid smile, and he pulled a fortune cookie from his pocket. Breaking it in half, he fed me a piece, and he ate a piece. He held up a small strip of paper. I took it and read it. "Your heart's desire is closer than you think." I handed the strip back to him, and he placed it in his pocket, eyes shining as the starburst became a frantic strobe of rainbow light above us. He kissed my hand, and we held each other amid the chaos. Bobby pulled me very close, so he spoke right into my ear. "I think I'm in love." It was after midnight when we left, neither one of us tired, and we were holding hands, flirting with each other's fingers, flirting with our eyes, and then flirting with our mouths. We stood a block from the club, kissing. He tasted a little of orange and smelled of crisp cologne, and if I didn't get away right now, I wouldn't get away for the rest of the night. "I'll walk you home," I whispered. "No. You walked over to my place. It's my turn to walk you home." And he kissed me. The night was cool, and though we could have gotten to my place much faster, every block or so we paused to kiss and whisper and grow closer. Somewhere in there, I stroked his cheek and whispered, "I had so much fun tonight. I don't want to let you go. I love you too." We walked to my apartment, still kissing and holding hands. I nuzzled his neck and whispered, "We need a fortune cookie to figure out the rest of the night." Bobby gave me the biggest smile, pulled one out of his pocket, and we broke it open, together. He fed me the cookie, and we both read the little piece of paper. "If you hurry, you can still catch the bus." "Good advice. Shall we?" Bobby said, and once again kissed me. I nodded, kissed him back, then we both ran for my car. The phone woke us. Bobby groaned, and I swore. 7:30? Is it legal to call somebody on a Sunday morning that early? The phone rang and rang. Seconds after it stopped ringing, it started ringing again. Who would be calling at such a horrible hour? Bobby moaned, reaching to the floor to find his phone. I don't think it's my phone. We were in bed together at my apartment, deliriously happy. 2 empty champagne glasses were on the nightstand, and our clothes were on the floor. After adjusting the blanket that lay atop us, I reached to the floor, found my phone in my pants pocket, and pulled it out. I answered it without looking at who called. I'll call you back, I mumbled. Foster, wait a minute. I want to talk to your mother. Where is she? Dad yelled. Hi, Dad. I didn't think you had my number. Are you calling to congratulate us? I asked, and turned to look at the most beautiful man I've ever seen. Bobby, do we have any champagne left? Bobby found the empty bottle on the floor, giggled, and leaned over and kissed my shoulder. We drank it all last night. Congratulate you? Why? Dad said. We've started our honeymoon. Bobby and I got married last night, I said. Married? You've been seeing somebody? Dad asked. I couldn't hear the rest of what Dad said because Bobby nibbled my ear, still giggling. I turned over and kissed him. My phone fell back to the floor and a tiny muffled voice said, Foster, hello? Is anybody there? Bobby opened a fortune cookie and held it up so I could read. Make every moment a happily ever after. And we did. Thank you, friends, for taking the time to listen. It's been fun. Peace.